Hey everyone, today we're going to get into what stage or level is the integral community on Integral Life. Now, I don't work for the integral community, I'm not involved in their community, I'm independent, so I can pretty much give my own critique. Now, I do want to work for them, so I don't want to be too anything, too right, too left, too heavy, too light. So I'll just say it how it is, and I'll say it in a nice way. The integral community generally acknowledges that there's a higher formation of reality. There's something that's guiding reality in a way that's pretty much supernatural, or it doesn't match up with the materialist lens. So already you have something that many people in the community are convinced uh, many people in other communities want to say, oh, they're stage blue. So no, they're not stage blue, but they're tapping into something I discovered that of what stage blue discovered, that you can go above the body. And I was just listening to Don Beck, and even Don Beck says something similar. So I'm not even convinced Don Beck doesn't agree with relatively what I'm about to say. And some students of Don Beck are going to misquote him, like Avatar Paradigms. I had to block him on my channel. Don't trust him. He's probably in stage yellow and doing a mediocre job for Don Beck, so don't take his words too seriously. He also may have some issues. He attacks people online and with ad hominems, accusing them of all kinds of disorders and bipolar, and then he has these things himself, the way he acts. Okay, so anyways, I'm just saying that it's a lot more complex than meets the eye. So integral life in general understands that there is a supernal guide. Now, what is this supernal guide and where is it? So every 4 stages, you're going to tap into higher levels of what this entails or what this is. It's basically an intelligence. Excuse me, I'm eating an edible. I just decided to eat it randomly. And this intelligence is what old school traditions project their own lens of what it is and how it functions, and where it resides and how it resides. But it's an intelligence, so that is what we understand as love and a desire to keep the organism functioning and working properly and doing everything that it needs to do to survive and to survive well in a community of people. And it's undercoating our consciousness. So integral life is definitely in stage turquoise, at least, because they're not in blue, and they even criticize blue a lot by saying, amber has a lot of residual issues for society, even though they teach us a lot of great stuff as well. But that shows that they're likely centered in turquoise, at least. And there are outliers who, like Ken Wilber, probably is an aubergine, probably tapped into clear a bunch of times. He's probably psychic and has to keep quiet about it. Like people who advance, they probably have skills that they just can't let people know about. And so in general, you're going to have the integral community in tier 2, and when they're closed-minded against people who say that the integral community is going off, think about it like this: if you had a mystical experience and you realized, and you had psychic capacity, and you overheard things, people's thoughts, you're going to realize that these supernatural things are not BS. It's not purple, because you can have it in any stage. It's not blue, because even blue rejects psychic capacity, a lot of them, because they want it to be structured psychic capacity. Only a few have psychic abilities. But in general, they're going to be, I forgot my train of thought, ADHD, but they're not going to they're not going to think in the same way blue is thinking. So they're definitely in stage turquoise, in at least stage turquoise. Oh, they won't like orange. So they won't like the materialist lens. So anyone who's bashing orange in the integral community, it's very logical. It's like, if you know something definitively is true, psychic capacity, you're going to be annoyed at that world. You're going to be annoyed at the materialist lens for not expanding their mind. And in stage green, you have more diversity, but it's generally the materialist lens, more atheism than spirituality. But once they do open their spiritual capacity, you have to apply the nonlinear quadrant system to see why they're so spiritual and how that functions. lighting. Oh, and in general, okay, but that's a separate discussion. Meaning, once you become the spiritual version of green, you're already activating higher tiers of development, and you have the integral capacity of stage yellow. And so it's just it goes uphill from there easily in terms of advancing stages. But it's that difficulty in green fighting against the concrete world. And the reason why they do this is because I just discovered something called a CM pattern, where there's a childlike and a mature-like pattern in development. But stage green has something called CM, not just C and not just M, they have CM, which means they're trying to balance both sides of the coin. And the reason why they do this in this stage is because they've kind of adjusted and adopted that there's no way to beat stage orange unless you fight fire with fire. So fire with fire is the immature side, but they call that maturity because they can't be in touch with it or else they feel they'll lose the battle. And they're also mature in terms of allowing ideas in, accepting ideas in, allowing more people into their group. So there's this weird schism, this weird contradiction in the stage, going to the collective unconscious, going to the unconscious mind, the collective ego, and even the superego. So you can look, I wrote that in the description of one of my videos. I think it was on the collective ego of green. No, it's probably later on, more recent. Okay, one of the videos have it. I'll probably put it in the description of this video where we talk about the CM. Oh, it's in the CM pattern. Yeah, it's directly in that video. So go to the CM video pattern, and you'll see it talks about this collective ego of green and the superego of green, and how and why it faces so much inner turmoil about how it should approach life. Its philosophies on matter and reality and so on. Okay, so the reason why stage green is usually atheist is because they're adopting this like adult-like lens, which is also childish because it's from the materialist orange. It's a child stage, and it's utter confusion. And so you have people that are bashing the integral community who are actually in who are actually in green, and they're adopting the materialist lens. So they're not spiritual. They're the materialist version of green, and they're the worst in terms of like being able to communicate with them and drill in ideas. And the only way to drill in an idea to them is if you let them derive the answer by not attacking them. You have a self-honest discussion without any attacks. You actually accept their opinions, and then something activates in their brain where they feel guilty for beating you in an argument, and then they'll be open to hearing your argument. So you can actually win an argument by losing an argument with a stage green materialist. But anyways, that's the reason why they're arguing against the integral community. Are any of the integral community in blue? No, unheard of. Are any of them in green? Yeah, a few of them are centered in green, and you know they want to be soldiers, so it's understandable. But most of them are in yellow. That's why they're integral, and that's why they're calm and they're nice, because you develop your EQ as you go along the spiral. But more than likely, if they believe in God, they're probably in turquoise. And the reason why they're open to using the word God, G-O-D, is because Ken Wilber's not against it. And so whenever the leader of a turquoise community is not against it, they allow it in their daily conversations. But the word God is obviously misleading, but anyone in the integral community knows that when they say God, it's not the same thing as the religious people. You could have an experience that could be similar, right? But the integral community knows this. So, okay. So the integral community is mainly centered in turquoise average. You have some green, you have some turquoise. But the open-mindedness towards other possibilities automatically shifts them towards turquoise. Even if they're in green, they're shifting without them realizing it. And then so the question is, anyone in teal? Is anyone in stage clear light? So Ken Wilber for sure accessed it, there's no doubt, for one reason or another, meditation, whatever. Being a leader of a community, there's like there's a flux of energy that says you have to know. So all of a sudden you know, right? It's complex stuff. That's a separate video for like a leadership video, how leadership works esoterically on a spiritual level. But so there are a few who probably accessed it, but no one's going to retain it because the general community requires you to be involved in different stages in previous stages. So yeah, they're in tier 2, and a lot of them are accessing tier 3 right now. and some of them are probably have access clear, and a few of them are probably moving up nicely as well. So it's very stage orange and stage green materialist lens like to say that they're anything below yellow. All right, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you got clarity from this in terms of what stage the integral life community is centered in. Take care. All the best.